Howdy, my name is Nonat, and it's been a hot minute since I've recorded a video. How do I do this again? I'll just talk and hopefully it all works out. Dark Archive is out, ladies and gentlemen, the newest supplement for Pathfinder 2e with a bunch of new player options and GM options alike. And this is going to be the first of many videos talking about this book because this book is jam-packed with so much content. I've already done some streams going over the Thaumaturge, I've done Thaumaturge 101, and we just did a stream going over the Psychic and a few other cool things, so today I'm going to do something for the GMs, or just the players who are interested in seeing what's new. We're talking about cryptids. And yes, these are similar to the cryptids from cryptozoology of the real world, and the book comes with not only some short stories to inspire you on how to use these cryptids, but also rules on how to turn any existing creature in the game into a cryptid. And not just a general cryptid, there's multiple types of cryptids, from experimental to rumored. They all have unique abilities and unique stat changes to make a creature into that type of cryptid. So let's get into it, but beforehand, can you drop a like on this video? I've been informed that apparently the YouTube algorithm has changed once again because it's been a week. And now the like to view ratio is way more important than it's ever been before. So if you want to help me out, drop a like on the video, and if you're feeling kind of frisky, that's not a word to use. If you're feeling up to it, leave a comment down below. I would really, really appreciate it. I'd like to just see this as an experiment. If the amount of likes will improve the performance of the video, who knows? The algorithm sucks.
We here at No Nut Ones Incorporated have no official public opinion regarding the suckage or lack thereof of YouTube's content algorithm. Anything said by No Nut Ones or any affiliated contact is strictly parody and is not to be taken seriously. Please show more people my videos.
But let's jump into things. Like usual with my videos, I'm not going to give you the flavor and the short stories. If you want that stuff, go buy the book itself. They're super cool. There's one about a sort of siren-esque eldritch creature that's a cryptid that was a super cool short read, but I'm here to tell you about the mechanics. Starting off, if you want to turn a creature into an experimental cryptid, such as one that's had body parts replaced with machinery, or it's been magically altered or augmented in some horrible way, use the following changes. The basic adjustments are honestly pretty simple. Increase its level by 1, and as such, increase pretty much every numerical value by 1. Armor class, attack rolls, saving throws, skill bonuses, etc. Give it an increase to hit points based on its initial level. If it was a level 1 creature and you're bumping it to level 2, give it 10 more hit points. If it was level 16, give it 20 more hit points. And then just increase the damage of all of its strikes and abilities by 1 point, or if the ability is restricted and can only be used a certain number of times, increase it by 2 damage. That's all you have to do mechanically, or I should say numerically, to the creature. Everything else about making an experimental cryptid comes from giving it really cool, unique abilities. For the sake of keeping this video somewhat short and sweet, I'm only going to talk about my favorite abilities, but the other ones should be on screen at least long enough for you to pause and read them yourself. One of the coolest abilities, I guess I'd call it, that they have listed here is Operational Flaw. A character can roll a perception check to seek out a weak point in the experimentation. You know, maybe the hinge connecting its mechanical leg to the body is rusted or weak or was just kind of quickly grafted together. If they can analyze and identify that weak point, the cryptid gains a weakness to their attacks. The weakness is always equal to the cryptid's level, so if you're fighting a level 7 Robo-Monkey and you find the operational flaw on the Robo-Monkey, all of your attacks start dealing 7 extra damage. Super cool. Clobber is also a really neat one. It's kind of a superpower attack. For 2 actions, the cryptid attacks. If it lands a hit, it shoves you 5 feet back or 10 feet on a critical success. And if you collide with something, you take an extra 1d10 damage. If the cryptid is level 5, it gets a whole extra damage dice on its attack. And if it's level 15, it gets 2 extra damage dice. So it's pretty much monster power attack. But the experimental cryptid ability that everyone should be scared of coming out is the Energy Wave. For 2 actions, this thing shoots a 30-foot line that deals a number of d6s equal to its level. And remember, the experimental cryptid gains a level just from becoming experimental. So if you're fighting a level 4 gorilla and it becomes a level 5 experimental robo-monkey, then all of a sudden this thing has a 5d6 lightning cannon that it can just wipe your party out with. Super cool. It can use it every d4 rounds. It basically gives them a fancy dragon breath, and I love it. And then you can see here the super cool experimental bullet creature. It's got like goopy doopy going through its body. It's half mechanical, but it's still got like the bullet head. Oh, I love the experimental cryptid so much. The Mutant Cryptid, which is just a creature that has been warped beyond belief, and I hate it. I hate it. It has the same adjustments as the experimental cryptid, except this one gains the rare trait. Kind of weird that the experimental one doesn't. Unusual Bane is a really clever one, and it's another ability that's actually a drawback for the creature. The mutant creature should have some strange aversion to something. The example it gives is that the creature might have an aversion to a child's laughter. So if it hears children laughing, it needs to make a will save, and on a fail, it becomes stunned 1 or stunned 3 on a crit fail. This is a really cool way for the GM to customize the monster and sort of make it do something unique and turn, a typical gorilla into a super creepy mutant gorilla that has a weakness to Raspberry Pi. My brain, of all the things I could have thought of, Raspberry Pi. No regrets. Explosive End is really cool, but not quite as scary as the experimental laser beam. When the mutant cryptid dies, it deals 1d6 damage in a big 10-foot burst around it on a basic reflex save. The damage type is determined when creating the mutant stat block, and the damage does go up by 1d6 every 2 levels after first. Honestly, this one's not that scary. Even a level 7 cryptid is only going to do 4d6, which, it's a free action. It happens when it dies. If you have an unconscious party member next to it, you might not want to kill it so that it doesn't explode and make them even more worse off. But it's a cool ability, and I just like the idea of this mutant just going... Marrow Lance is super cool and one of the most metal things I've read in a while, but mechanically it could be a lot more clear. Flavor-wise, it just shoots spears of bone out of its body. If the creature has a ranged attack already, you just use those statistics, and if it doesn't have a ranged attack, what does it say? It is use moderate accuracy and low damage for the creature's level. That's annoying, but at the same time, you're already adjusting the creature into a cryptid, which means you are messing with its stat block, so it's not like you can't just mess and add the Marrow Lance ranged attack as an additional attack onto the stat block. It's not like you're going to have to come up with this in the middle of combat. Really cool, really metal. I like it. I think I like the experimental cryptid a little more. I wish there was a little more to the mutant, but overall the mutant just seems like it's sort of an unstable kind of conglomeration of gross. Next up, we have the Primeval Cryptid, which has some really cool adjustments. Obviously, the level goes up by 1, numerically everything goes up by 1, damage by 1 or 2 if it's restricted, and then HP goes up, all the exact same. What's cool about the Primeval Cryptid is, first off, the rarity increases by 1 stage. If it was common, it's now uncommon. If it was uncommon, it's now rare. If it was already rare, it stays rare. And its size goes up by 1. Medium to large, large to huge. Weirdly, it specifically says if this makes the creature huge, increase the reach of strikes by 5 feet. But if you go from medium to large, you also get 5 feet of reach, don't you? Isn't that just part of the size category? Kind of a weird stipulation there. Now here's where it gets cool. If the creature had an intelligence of -4 or lower, it is increased to -3. And if it was an animal, that trait is removed and it gains the beast trait. No matter what creature you put the primeval adjustment on, it becomes intelligent. Not necessarily smart, but sapient. You can give it a nasty stench aura of 30 feet that anytime a creature starts their turn in it, they have to make a Fortitude save or become sickened 1, which is rough, especially for armor class and attack rolls. Additionally, while they're in the emanation, they get a -2 penalty against saving throws against disease and to recover from sickened, which remember, sickened also gives a status penalty. So if you get afflicted by sickened 1 and you're still in the aura, you're looking at a net -3 to your Fortitude save to recover. On the upside, if you succeed even once, you are immune for a full minute. That's honestly something I've kinda liked about Pathfinder 2e. Back in the day, you could really chain auras and effects like that where you're pretty much stuck there. You could succeed, you could succeed one round, but then if you just fail the next round, you're back at square one. I like the 1 minute immunity that almost all auras and consistent effects have on success. The broken arsenal is so cool because there are so many weapons sticking out of this creature from previous attempts to kill it. Anyone who attacks it or touches it with a melee or unarmed strike takes damage equal to half the cryptid's level. That's so cool! Like, you are literally hurting yourself on the weapons of the people who failed to kill it. I don't know if anyone here plays Monster Hunter, but I'm getting serious Apex and Deviant vibes from this one specifically. I know a good chunk of you out there do play it, especially with Rise Sunbreak that just came out. If you haven't played Monster Hunter, do yourself a favor. Play it. I'll probably stream it in a few weeks. Grasp for Life is awesome and really leans into how these things can't be killed. As a free action, once per week, if the cryptid's health would be dropped to 0, its health becomes 4 times its level. If you're fighting a level 5 creature, it suddenly has 20 hit points again. It's interesting here that it doesn't say it gains hit points, its hit points become 4 times its level. So this isn't even a healing effect. If you have any spells or abilities that reduce or shrink or negate healing, that wouldn't, well, but it has the healing trait. Leave in the comments, I'm curious here, would a healing effect stop this? Because it's not regaining hit points, it's just setting its new hit point total. I don't know how I feel about that one. Let me know how you'd rule it. Still a cool ability though. And Shockwave, very much another Monster Hunter type attack. For 2 actions, the cryptid slams the ground in some way, whether it jumps up and down or just slams with a tail or a fist, and in a 30-foot range? Yeah, all creatures on the ground within 30 feet of the cryptid in any direction take 1d6 damage per level. Holy cow, forget the 30-foot line of the experimental cryptid. This is a 30-foot burst in all directions. If you're fighting a level 5 creature, that's 5d6 on basic reflex, and if you crit fail, you're knocked prone. Imagine you just barely put this thing down, and then it grasps for life, stays up, it becomes its turn, and then uses Shockwave, knocks you all down, and sprints away. Oh, that's such a cool scene. I love these cryptids so much. Now, the rumored cryptid is interesting. It's somewhat similar to the primeval cryptid, but it's much more in line with something like Bigfoot. It turns an animal into a beast, it increases their intelligence so it gains sapience, and it gains the stealth skill with a modifier equal to its highest skill modifier. You know, because Bigfoot can never be caught on camera. He's always disappearing and walking behind a tree. Otherwise, all of the other adjustments are the same. Also, this owlbear is terrifying, and he will be in your closet tonight. Now, this one's interesting, because this says all rumored cryptids gain all of these abilities unless it, contradicts something about the creature. Starting with Burning Eyes, it gains Dark Vision. If it already had Dark Vision, it gets Greater Dark Vision. That's terrifying, because I think that can see through darkness spells, right? Creature Obscura is really, really neat. These creatures are so well known through fables and legends that you can roll Society or an applicable lore skill to learn about them. However, this is the only time I've ever seen something mechanically use an incredibly hard DC for its level. For reference, if you're facing, let's say, a level 5 normal creature, Recall Knowledge would be this high of a DC. If you're trying to learn about a level 5 rumored cryptid, it's this high of a DC. Gross. What is cool though is as long as you don't critically fail, you will gain both true and false information because it uses the same rules as the dubious knowledge skill feat, which I love. Even if you fail to get actual correct information on it, you can still get some hearsay, and it's up to you to pick out the kernels of truth from that popcorn bowl. Shifting form is wild, and I don't know the impact of this. This has no mechanical impact, it's all roleplay and flavor based, but it basically states the cryptid only exists because people talk about it, write about it, and share stories about it. If all records of that cryptid are erased, all the people who have told and learned about it are all dead, the cryptid doesn't exist anymore. It might technically still be out there, which is weird, but if nobody knows about it, it does not exist. This is very much a tree falls in the forest, but nothing is around to hear it situation. I love that. Obscura vulnerability is super cool as well. The rumored cryptids thrive on the inability to grasp their true form, so anyone who successfully recalls knowledge on it inflicts the Drained 1 condition or Drained 2 on a critical success. I love that the rumored cryptid's weakness is knowledge. That's so stupid cool. The cryptid also gets 2 unique actions, Stalk and Vanishing Escape. Stalk is amazing. For one action, if the rumored cryptid is completely undetected, it can take a full stride action and strike. Now, this is again really hard to use because undetected is not the same as hidden. Even a critically successful hide check, which doesn't actually exist, there's only a success effect, regardless, that only makes you hidden, not undetected. The only way this thing would be undetected is if it was already hidden and the player characters had no idea it was even there. All of their passive perceptions were garbage, or they rolled low on their perception, and they just had no idea. So most of the time, Stalk is not going to matter too much. However, Vanishing Escape is a little bit more useful for actual combat and escapes. For one action, the creature can stride and hide. Keep this in mind, if the thing is already out of sight, it can sort of dart in a random direction and hide, and then it becomes suddenly far more difficult to relocate. There are also 2 optional abilities if you want your rumored cryptid to be even more wild, such as Hybrid Form, which allows it to burrow, climb, or swim as fast as its normal land speed. This is cool, and again, it sort of goes along with the rumored cryptid gaining more abilities and getting more powerful based on the stories around it. You know, that 12-year-old says, no, it's not just an owl bear, it's an owl bear mole. He can dig super fast. And then if that rumor starts to spread and all of a sudden everyone believes in this owl bear mole, yeah, it can burrow because people believe it can. It's a very wild Peter Pan Neverland believing in fairies style of creature, and I'm here for it. And then Howl is probably the least exciting ability from the entire cryptid section. It's still good in combat, it's mechanically sound. For 2 actions, you effectively demoralize everything in a 30-foot burst, and the will save DC is a high DC for its level. So if you're level 4, you might be fighting a level 6 rumored cryptid, and a high DC for a level 6 creature is going to be insane. You're probably going to need an 18 plus just to pass, let alone crit succeed. But if you normal succeed, you are immune for 1 minute, and it's still 2 actions, so it's good. It just inflicts Frightened 1 or 2 on a crit fail, but there's nothing about it that says your Frightened condition remains, so worst case scenario, you're frightened for a round. And those are the cryptids. Super cool adjustments and bonus abilities for creatures. There's actually a few other adjustments already out there that I've never gone over. If you'd like to see more of those, leave a comment down below. And hey, don't forget to leave a like. Again, for the experiment, I want to see how YouTube reacts to a lot more people liking this video than usual. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of the cryptids? Do you think they're super cool? I don't think they're super broken, except for maybe the big slam and the energy beam. Like, they're really, really unique, and they give combat a lot of flavor and depth without just being like, this creature hits harder. They've pretty much avoided that entirely, aside from like clobber. So I love it. Let me know your favorite. Let me know your least favorite. Let me know ideas you would have for a unique type of cryptid monster, because I would be so down to see more of these, like a mirror cryptid or a shadow cryptid or something like that. I think there's a lot of room here. So that's it for me. Shout out to my patrons for putting up with my weird upload schedule and just always supporting me. You guys are incredible. I can't thank you enough, and I'm going to keep saying that every single video, so deal with it. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time. Is that an owl bear behind you?